It's two.
Indeed. Hello there, folks. My name is Bill Corey. I'm the Cubist. Welcome to the Cubist. You will notice that our special guests for tonight's show, we are doing the deep dive on Caylus tonight. But you'll notice that our special guests aren't here yet. Instead, we have all of us, all of the hosts from the Cubist. And we want to very briefly talk about an issue. As you know, we pride ourselves in our direct interaction with you, the live viewers in the chat room. However, last week, the chat room had some issues, primarily a disruptive issue involving a few of our viewers. This issue not only distracted us from our excellent special guest, Chaz, and what we thought was going to be a fun and informative conversation, and it was, but it was insulting to our hosts and our other viewers. So we want to state right up front, unequivocally, without any sort of ambiguity, we will absolutely not tolerate any of our viewers from disruptive, insulting, or rude behavior in the chat, in the comments on our YouTube page, anywhere. We all believe very strongly in treating other people with the respect and courtesy we would wish to be treated with in return. And any comments and behavior that don't align with that belief will be dealt with summarily and without hesitation moving forward. Okay? We apologize to you, all of our viewers, for allowing this to detract from what we've come to love from the Cubist. You know, a real fun, informative look into various aspects of tabletop gaming. We hope that all of you that are watching, whether you're in the chat room right now, hi chat room, or watching or listening later, we hope that you like what we're doing here at the Cubist. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We just wanted to take a moment to kind of express that as a group. So thank you very much from all of us here at the Cubist for hanging with us. We will I guess that's it. How did I do? Did I do okay?
Yes.
You did good. Very good, Bill. Right. I approve this message.
Yes. Excellent. We should say all of our hosts, sans Patrick, who couldn't be with us tonight.
Yes, Patrick could not be with us tonight. He is, with any luck, wearing his Caylus costume while visiting his sister. Yeah. I really hope he is. That would make me happy. So anyway, we are not all going to be here tonight. We're going to get our special guests back into the chat and introduce them proper in a minute. But all of us as hosts wanted to be here to relay all of this to you, that we care a lot and we really want to make sure that this is a welcoming community for everybody, both live in the chat and afterwards. So thank you, everybody, very much. Appreciate it. All right, now we're going to kick a couple folks out because some of our hosts can't stay tonight. And Patrick can't be with us at all. And we're going to bring in our special guests. So thank you, Eric and Kimberly, for joining us.
Have a good night, guys. Enjoy your Caylus deep dive.
Yes, we absolutely will. All right, so first on the bucket list, we have Chris Wray is back with us. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
We're doing well, sir. Doing well. I am. So for those of you that don't know, Chris is, I don't know, real smart. Like, Chris has been on the show before, and he's real smart. And he wrote an article about Caylus for Counter Magazine last year. So, like, if there's such thing as an expert, I guess that isn't William Mattia. It's probably going to be Chris. So thanks for Chris for joining us. And Jason Dinger is also here. Hi, Jason.
Wow. Hey, guys.
Hey. Yes, Dinger. And see, the chat room is already excited to see you, Jason. Jason is also a friend of the show. You've been on the show before.
I was on the Agricola episode with Chris, yes.
Yes. You are sort of one of our guys that we're going to go to for deep dives, I have a feeling. So, and then Mr. Brandon Kemp, who has never played Caylus, is with us.
Once.
So, Brandon, you are going to be sort of our outside looking in guy for tonight, right? Like, I want you can be the guy that can ask questions and like learn about this, right? Because I assume you know the basics, right?
I know there's a dour looking gentleman on the cover. And
really?
There's a provost that pisses everybody off.
Okay,
and that's about it.
That's fair. That's fair. So, and hello, chat room. I see we've got a fair number of people here tonight. Awesome. I like it. We also have Chad in the chat who has never played Caylus either. So, see, you're not the only one here. It doesn't know what the hell you're talking about. Paul, however, it's in his top 5 because he's a very smart man. This will go well. Excellent. All right, so let's start with the basics. And we're just going to jump straight into the main topic tonight because I don't want to get distracted with all the other nonsense. We have already had one distraction tonight, so let's jump right in. Chris, you wrote this awesome article about the history of Caylus. So why don't you read it verbatim to us over a live chat? No, I'm kidding. Like I have it here, and I'm going to use this to kind of pick notes off of over the span of the night. Why don't you get, like, you feel like you're all right with this? Be our historian.
Okay.
Tell us about Caylus.
So Caylus dates back to 2005, and it's widely considered the first worker placement game. Now, I think that's probably fairly up to dispute, because my understanding is games like Antiquity and a few others had worker placement-like mechanics. But Caylus popularized the term, and it popularized the concept in the game. And so it came out in 2005. It was a smash hit. I believe it came out at Essen in 2005. It won the International Gamers Award the next year. It won the Deutscher Spielepreis, and it also received a special recognition from the Spiel des Jahres jury. So it's one of the few games to have ever received recognition from all three groups. When William Adia developed it, he said it sort of consumed his life. He said it was based in a large part on Wray, that Nietzsche classic, but a lot of the mechanics that he worked in were pretty fresh and original, and he said he spent a lot of time streamlining it, which, if you've ever played Caylus, streamlined is not a word I would use. Yeah. But that's the short history of it. It's been pretty influential for the past 13 years. I don't know that it gets that much play anymore, if we're being honest, but it is one of the more influential games of the past couple decades. For sure.
Now, Jason, when we do, as everybody that watches the show regularly knows, we talk about this all the time. We do a little bit of a pre-show where we kind of go over a couple of things. And one of the things that we were talking about is that, Jason, you've sort of been working your way backwards into more of the classic games, right? So when do you remember first playing Caylus? Like, how long have you been playing it?
Been playing it for about a year now. And we play it about once a month, at worst, once every 6 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay. So you think you have, 20, 30 plays of it in at this point?
Yeah, a couple dozen.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Do you want to I tell you what, we'll have you be the quick overview on how the game works. Is that all right? You feel okay doing that?
Sure.
You don't, give us a rules tutorial, but, quickie on how it goes.
Worker placement to collect resources to build more worker placement spaces along the road. One of the neat things about the worker placement in this aspect is it's triggered in the order that you're flowing down the road. So knowing that you're going to get the resources you need to do the building action later is important. With the two main ways to score points is through building the buildings on the road and building the levels of the castle, which decrease in points as the game goes on. And there's a little bit of a small area majority battle that goes on there, where each round, whoever's built the most, or if you're tied, whoever was there first in the castle gets a favor, and those things can really add up in combo and build some nice things throughout the game. It's one of the games that one of the things I like about it is it can have some aspects that can be a little mean, and some people scoff at that. That doesn't belong. I like the fact that not every game I play is this cut and dry. This is what a Euro game should be. I like that it has something different in it. I like the fact that there's a bit of a gamble in certain actions. I know everybody mentions the provost. There's another thing I was going to talk about that especially gets seen in two-player games that's way more prevalent there that I think is a little meaner, but I'll get into that later.
I was going to say, I suspect the provost is going to end up getting its own entire segment of this show, because it is to me, it is the defining factor of this game. And so I think it's going to end up getting talked about a lot. But I agree with you, Jason. Yeah,
it can be. I've seen games where it really didn't come into play because you were both basically placing in the timing of when you placed to make sure they had spent all their money, so they can't pay to move the provost. There's some ways you can mitigate that, or at least lessen the chance.
Sure. But it definitely ends up being an entire strategy point in and of itself that you can't ignore. And I think that's probably the mechanic, I would argue. Okay, so let's back up a little bit here, because I have a lot of thoughts. Caylus has been, in my quick history from my point of view, Caylus has been one of my top 100 games forever. ever since I started thinking about the idea of a top 100 game. Caylus has been right up there in the running, because it does things that I don't think any other game in my collection does. And one of those things is that it is as deep as you want it to be, but it is remarkably accessible. The rules are actually pretty easy to get your brain around, right? Like, I don't feel like it's a particularly complex game rules-wise, because really what it is you have money, and it takes money to put workers out on spaces. And when you run out of money, you're done placing workers. Or, I mean, maybe you're done placing workers before then. But my point is that the amount of money that you have to pay is equal to how many pass spaces are still open on the board, right? So if nobody's passed, it's $1. As soon as somebody passes, it's $2. So now once one person decides the round is over, everybody else very soon follows, because the money starts to get real scarce. And then you just resolve the road. Like, literally the board tells you what order to do things in. You just start at the top, dig all the way down the board. Then you have to jump back to the castle at the end, which is a little janky. I always wondered why they didn't put the castle at the end of the road, but what do I know? But other than that, and then you just rinse and repeat. Do that over and over again until the bailiff tells you the game's over. It's really easy. It just works. Don't text in the car, Patrick. Oh, that's right. He's not driving. Never mind. Fine. Text in the car, Patrick. You're all right. You're good. Sorry. Paying attention to the chat room. So let me start with this. What is it that makes this game work in 2018? Because it would be really hard to argue that it isn't the pinnacle of worker placement, right? We've done worker placement games in a lot of different genres that have taken that mechanic and spun it in a lot of different directions, arguably more creative directions in some games. It depends on what you're talking about. But what is it, Chris, that you think makes this game just still work in 2018?
Okay, so let's break this thing into 4 pieces.
Okay.
There's worker placement. That's been done hundreds of times since then.
Yep.
There's worker placement where you activate the buildings in a particular order. I haven't seen that often.
Francis Drake.
Yeah.
Egizia. There's a few. I mean, you're right, but it definitely isn't something used a lot, but it does exist.
Pillars of the Earth. But yeah, there's not that many games that do that. There's worker placement where you have to pay your workers. Those were pretty popular early on and became less popular. So Agricola, you have to pay your workers, of course, and that was a direct design descendant of Caylus. Yeah. And then the last part, I think, is the Provost actually is probably the thing that makes this the most unique in my mind, because I have not seen a mechanic in very many other worker placement games where you can somehow make it where people's workers don't activate.
Yeah, that's true. And the Provost is also, see, I told you we were going to end up talking about him this entire thing. The Provost is also the part that sets this apart from a lot of Euros. Euro gamers or Euro games tend to be very, look, shut up. I'm going to be over here playing in my sandbox doing my thing, and maybe we'll interact with this one space where you took a space that I want. But in general, there are no big middle fingers in most Euro games, right? Like, that's just not a thing. You don't. Like, and this is why I'm actually slightly shocked that Brandon hasn't played this game, because this feels like the part of this game, Brandon, that would just sing to your soul, right? Yeah. Like this is the part where you get to play a Euro and screw everybody over with a big poopy grin on you.
I've always heard it's not that great of a 2-player game, which has always been what sways me away from it, honestly. So,
okay,
we'll tackle that later.
Yeah,
you've been misled, but we'll get into that later.
Okay. You got it.
So I personally gravitate towards those leave me alone and let me play in my sandbox kind of games, right? Like, I love games where I'm just kind of sitting there doing my thing and this is awesome and whatever. And then I look up at the end and I'm like, holy crap, I got my ass kicked or whatever. But I still had a really good time doing it. But this one it doesn't bother me in the way that other take that style games do. Why? Like, why don't I mind this? I normally hate this kind of crap. Why don't I care here? Go ahead.
I think, for one thing, the fact that you can see it, there's a limit to how, who the Provost can affect. It's open information there. You can see that. There is a way to mitigate it. It's slipping my mind now, the name of the space where you can go up towards the gate. not the gate, but the other space right after where you can move the provost for free.
Sure. It's the move the provost for free space. I never remember the names of any of the spaces. I know like 3 of them. There's an inn, there's a stables, and there's a gate, and then everything else is like, this is what this space does. Do the thing.
That's where you get $3. But yeah, so you can see it coming. It's limited effect. I'll get into something later that we see a lot in our 2-player games, which I've only played it 2-player a couple dozen times. Whereas strategic placement, where you're almost you wait for your last few places to be further down the road, unless you just later in the game if you got enough money or whatever. But I think that's why the provost is not. It's a gamble, but it's something you can mitigate, and it's a limited gamble. You can only affect so many spaces,
and it's a visible gamble too, right? Like you can know, you know ahead of time. Okay, Dinger's going to be a jerk. He went to the provost 3 spaces place that we can't ever remember the name of. So if I play way out there, I know my worker's probably going to get screwed. You know, I can see it coming. So generally speaking, and if you or I could go there first to make sure that I don't get screwed, right? And that's the
I've done that quite a few times. I've done that where I know I'm running low on money. So with my last or second to last placement, I'll go there to ensure that I can go to the spot to get the 2 stone or the 2 wood or whatever without without it being paid to go back. The Merchants Guild is where you go.
Okay.
To meet the provost.
Yeah, Brandon just Googled it and posted it in the chat to be a smart aleck.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
That's fine.
Whatever. It's still the move provost 3 spaces.
Yeah, 0 to 3 spaces at no cost.
Exactly.
I'm just looking through it.
Except for, but see, that's the thing. There is a cost because you're still spending at least $1 to put your dude there, and you're spending one of your only dudes.
You're spending an action, exactly.
Right.
That's a very expensive cost that you're spending an action.
It sure is. Like there are many games that I would rather spend $3 to move it 3 spaces than spend a pawn, $1, and one of my placements, and therefore missing another space to do. So it's a game. Like I said, screw it. We're not going to push this back anymore because I feel like we're just going to keep jumping back to the provost anyway. It is the defining characteristic of this game because it's the part that gives you the most control over both your own player position and others. The order that you pass is also the order that you manipulate the provost when it comes to paying money for it. So if you can hang on till the end, you get the final say in where the provost goes over the span of the entire turn. But if you pass early, you can prevent other people from doing other things. And it is, I would argue that I think it is the main mechanic of the game. I think I would even go so far as to say it's the thing that makes Caylus.
Yeah, and have you ever played a game with a similar mechanic? Because I don't know that a game that I've played that this has been replicated in.
No.
There's another aspect to Caylus though at 2-player that I think is as important, if not more important, than the provost. But I don't know if you want me to mention that now.
Let's do it now. Screw it. We're not real good at sticking with this topic anyway. We always float all over the place. Go for it.
Passing.
Yeah.
There are plenty, because when you pass in a normal game, it goes from $1 to $2. In a 2-player game, it immediately jumps to $3.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. And so especially early in the game, before you've built any residences or gotten any buildings that allow you to cash money or whatever out to cash gold or resources out for significant money, it's really a way. I will give up on being able to place 1 or 2 more people when I see that she's only got $2 left. Because again, I play only with Donna, and the profanity on the show will fly across the table, and I'll pass just knowing that she's stuck, because I'll go to her building. I'll give her the point because I know that's the only way she can go somewhere and pay $1 is to go to her own building. So I'll block her out completely. I still wind up losing. Don't ask. I don't know. But it is, I think, meaner than the provost at times, the passing in a 2-player game.
Especially in 2-player, I could see that. I don't think I've ever played at 2. I think because I have other games that are 2-player, like that I always think of as being this is best at 2 or this is really great at 2, that I gravitate towards first. Caylus is one of the games that I go for when I want to be like a next step game. I would never try and teach it to somebody that didn't play games, but for somebody that is like, I want to play something kind of awesome, I will be like, hey, look, I have a thing, and I pull it. Matter of fact, I did it last week in preparation for, I apologize, 2 weeks ago, in preparation for tonight. I taught 2 friends of mine that have only played a few things, and they absolutely adored it. And they were like, this is really good. This is old? And I'm like, yes, this is like, I guessed wrong. I said, it's like 15 years old. It's like, holy crap, that's awesome. It really does hold up. And because of, like, I think that accessibility is really there. All right. And plus it has wooden pieces. Go.
I did misspeak. I have played it once at 4-player.
Okay.
We gave Caylus, there's a couple in town that got friends of ours who got into gaming last year through us, and our Christmas gift to them was a copy of Caylus. And so for our Christmas party, it was them and us, and we taught them to play. So I did play at 4-player. So
Okay.
most of my plays are at 2.
Okay. What do you, Chris, what player counts do you typically play at?
So I'm usually the higher player counts. To be honest, I've only played this in person a few times. I've played it mostly on the app, and the app is fantastic.
Yeah, the iOS app is really good. I play it almost entirely in person.
Yeah, I don't.
It's right there. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's not supposed to be music.
Come on, this is good. I feel like marching. What are we doing? Hold on. Ray, put it towards your microphone.
Oh, it's done.
That is the sound that I associate with Caylus. That like you played that song, and now in my head I'm thinking Caylus.
Outstanding. I feel like saluting or something. Is Donna joining us in the corner there?
She was popping in to say hello. Yeah.
Hi, Donna. How you doing?
How y'all doing?
Good. Thank you for continuing. Here, give her the headphone.
Yeah, hold on, because she can't hear a word you're saying. I'm just going to tell you you're saying bad stuff about it.
Yeah, we're going to say something terrible about you. Donna?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. How are you?
Good.
I just want to take a moment to thank you for kicking Jason's ass at Caylus repeatedly. He told us that you win all the time, and we really appreciate that. So thank you.
I try.
Continue to whoop him regularly, please.
But I lose in other games, which sucks, but it's
That's fine. You know what? Just own this one. Just smack him around and call him Susan. We like it. Perfect. Excellent.
Right. Well,
Donna, you're the best.
Thank you. I'll hand it back over to Jason.
Sounds good.
I figure it's only fitting that you get to have a moment to talk to the person who beats me in Caylus all the time.
That's
There you
what that is exactly what we told her. We thanked her for beating you in Caylus all the time. So yeah, the app though is really good. I don't think I've ever played it. I don't know if I've ever played it on my phone, but I played on my iPad all the time.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to try it on a phone because they're fitting a lot on that screen space.
It does work. I gave my iPad to my son a year ago when I wasn't really using it much, so I've only played it on the phone, which makes it all the more upsetting that she beats me because she's never played it on the phone. And I've got another 24 plays on the phone that I win. So I'll be winning, just so you know. It's not like she's just dominating the whole game. I'll be up by 20 points. And the last couple rounds, she just does 2 prestige buildings and hits the castle and kills me, and it's
outstanding. Yeah. I think, by the way, by the end of this show, Brandon will have successfully played a game of Caylus. If I was a bet man, is it open and on your desk? Are you?
No,
playing?
it's off.
So
I'm listening.
So, Brandon, first time Caylus warning. It is one of those games where there is very little randomness. Actually, I don't know if there's any randomness in the game.
The initial setup of the 6 pink tiles.
Right.
That's right. Okay.
That's it.
And it is a game that I don't know that I've ever won it in person. And it took me a while to beat the app, so it's a tough game to really get good at.
Okay, so let's talk about the other part. Okay, so when you play on iOS versus playing in person, right? And I've ranted about this on a bunch of other shows, so I don't want to take a lot of time about this, but I think that there is a difference in how you process information between when you have a big piece of cardboard where you can see all of the information simultaneously and anything where you have to open windows. Like when you have to take agency to get information, it changes how you perceive the information. So I would argue that your entire thought process changes between an app and a cardboard version, which is, like I said, a thing that I rant about all the time. So Jason, don't feel too bad. Because if you're always playing in the app and then she kicks your butt in person, that might be it. See?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that might be it. But I want to talk about favors. the royal favor track. So this is another part of the game where there is this grid of 4 tracks in the top right of the board. And when you do anything that gets you a royal favor, and there are a number of different ways to get royal favors with the span of the game. Whenever you get something that gives you a royal favor, you get to move up 1 space on one of those tracks. And every space is markedly better than the spaces before it. You can use the space you end up on or any space before it. One of the spaces gives you victory points, one gives you money, one gives you more cubes, and one gives you extra actions to build buildings. But build right?
with a discount, yes.
Build with a discount, right? So you can do a build action sort of at a weird time, and that's the other key part of that. We'll come back to that in a minute. It lets you take build actions out of order, sort of. But those tracks, the main ways that you get them is there is a space. Wait, is it the jousting field? Is it a tournament? What is it?
Yeah, I believe that's the name. But where you give up a cloth and $1.
Yeah. You pay a cloth and $1, and you just get one. You also can get them from some of the buildings, some of the prestige buildings. Uh-oh. Is he in costume? He better be in costume.
The joust field.
Is he in costume? Hi, Patrick. How are you?
Hey.
You're not. Are you in costume? I can't tell.
No, I didn't get a chance to put my costume on. Sorry.
Damn it. That's all right. He actually has a Caylus costume. We'll give you a minute. We're not scared. No. Anyway, welcome, Patrick Hillier. It's good to see you.
Here's my
Pixel Lincoln. You're advertising the wrong game.
I know. I totally unprepared. This is my Caylus scepter.
Nice. Excellent. I love that you take that nerditude to a whole new level there. Chris Mitchell can finally be happy. He was complaining that you weren't here.
Sorry.
That's all right.
And I played Caylus, so it's up. It's still in my game bag.
Outstanding. Chris, go.
Otherwise, I'd put it up.
Oh, at some point, I want to talk about that guy on the cover of the box, because that's probably the most iconic part of this game, actually.
The angry white dude? Yeah. We've had... I mean, he's
there
the
he
guy.
is.
He's
There
the
he
guy. He is the guy that started. I mean, I remember a span of a while in where it feels like we were always talking about, look, it's another Euro game with an angry looking white dude on the cover, as like a meme thing for a while. I actually think a couple publishers leaned into it and like intentionally made him look more pissed. Their dude more pissed off later.
Every few months, there's a thread on Board Game Geek or a Geek List called Board Games Made Better With, and then insert a celebrity name. So we've had Board Games Made Better with B. Arthur, or, Board Games Made Better with The Rock. And the one where they Photoshop the celebrity's face onto the Caylus box is always priceless.
So last, I got to jump in here. Last month, the Rolling Dice and Taking Names did a Grumpy Tony thing. And I did Grumpy Tony's face on that and called it Grumpus.
Outstanding. Anytime we can have Grumpy Tony, I'm calling it a win. All right. So we were just talking, Patrick, to catch you up real fast because you just jumped in. We were just talking about the Royal Favor tracks and how you get those things. The 3 main ways is the space, the tournament, or whatever the hell it is.
Jousting arena.
Oh, look at you are just on it with the names. Nice. All right. So the jousting arena. The some of the prestige buildings come with royal favors, and then the third way, and I would argue the most consistent way besides the jousting arena, is the castle. So the reason that you're garnering all of these resources is to either build buildings for points or to help build the castle. And each section of the castle costs 3 resources. There are 5 types of resources in the game, right? There's food, wood, stone. I can totally do this. Cloth and gold. Yes. And any 3 different ones, as long as one of them is food. They must all be different, and one of them must be food. And no matter what you're doing, building like that, in common parlance, we always call it a batch. How many batches do you have?
That's actually what it's called in the rules.
Is it?
Yes.
Just sometimes I use the right term for crap. That's awesome. All right, so
sometimes we call crap poop.
Yeah. Hang on, can you see me? Stop it. All right, anyway. There you go.
I came on just for you, Bill.
I appreciate that. But the person that contributes the most batches on any given turn of the game gets a royal favor. Oh, there's a 4th way. We'll come back to that in a second. And that is this area majority thing that I think, Jason, you brought that up early, right?
Yes.
Is that there's a little bit of area majority. That... How do you feel like that's a big part of this, or does it feel minor to you?
Oh no, I think it's a very big part. that can be very strategic, especially as you move up on the tracks. Being able to get the points, especially later in the game where you're getting 4 points and then 5 points, building up the favors like that can be very big. You can get a lot of points that way early in the game. Money, points, I've seen Donna abuse, and I that's the right word, I think, the points track. Neither one of us have done too much with the resource. I've played with it once. I've done really well going with the building track. That's been really good, as you point out, because you can build out of order. I did mess up one time and used all my resources. I planned to do that, and I was so focused, and I used all my resources to build one more section of the castle than she did, and then I moved on the track and realized I was one resource short. It was to build a building, minus the stone, and all I had was one stone left, and she wouldn't let me go back and do that.
Yeah,
I lost that game by 2 points.
I suck at planning for that track. That's why I hate using it, because I can never plan for it.
Right, because of the weird timing, right? Like when you get, so it's at the moment that you take the royal favor that you enact whatever the thing is that you just got from it.
Right.
So if you get the royal favor from that jousting field, you will have gotten the royal favor before you've been able to collect resources for that turn. If you get it from building a prestige building, you might get it halfway through the process. And you have to think about all of that while you're placing your workers that turn to figure out, okay, so I'm going to go here first, and I'm going to get this, and then I'm going to go there, and I'm going to get this thing, and then I'm going to be selling one of these for money here, so that way I can use that money to buy 2 things here, so that way I can build a building. Yay. And like that, Chris, I have heard that people that are really good at this game, Scott Nicholson very famously went on a rant in one of his early Board Games of Scott videos and yelled about Caylus commandos as, people that were just good at this game and you never had a chance against them. Is that a fair criticism? Because it feels like that's the one skill, right, is being able to figure out that track and what order of operations. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Now, it's fair of a lot of games. I mean, if you ever played somebody that's really good at Puerto Rico, they'll destroy you too. But
sorry, I'm laughing at Brandon just vehemently nodding his head.
So it's one of those things where it's a feature for a lot of people and it's annoying for a lot of people. But I think it really comes down to the people you play with and not the game itself.
Yeah. So if you are one of those people that you struggle to get a game played 5 times in your collection, if that's a tough thing for you, then yeah, if you sit down for Caylus once every 2 years against somebody that knows how to play the game and plays it all the time, yes, they're going to kick your trash.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. But you don't have to play it 1,000,000 times in order to be good.
No,
like twice. And then you're like, oh, I get it. And either you will be good at planning or you won't. Right. But I mean, after like 2 plays, you're going to have a feel for how the game goes.
So is the planning, is that the complexity here? Because I'm looking at this and I hear everybody describe it. And then I look at Board Game Geek and it's nearly it's almost a 4 on the complexity scale.
It's got a complexity,
I
think, in the
it
buildings.
It doesn't seem that bad.
There's a complexity in the buildings.
Okay.
Knowing the buildings, predicting what buildings might come out, understanding that relationship. I think there's a challenge in understanding how to get and when to get the the blue buildings are.
The prestige buildings?
The prestige buildings, because you got to build a green building and you got to build a brown building before you can build a green building on top of a pink building to be able to get a blue building out. And that whole thing's a little bit complicated.
So it's planning and knowing that you have to plan.
Right.
Okay.
And that whole process. And then once you get a blue building out, you got to get some gold. And how do you get gold? Well, you can really only get gold if you get a alchemist or a gold spot. And,
okay.
So understanding that there's only certain ways to do certain things is important.
Okay. But hang on.
It's not
Brandon,
just planning.
Can I give you homework for a hot second, though?
Mm-hmm.
Can you look up the weight of Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar?
Yeah.
And then because if there has ever been a game in the world where you have to be able to plan things out a few terms ahead of time, Tzolk'in to me is the poster child for that, because you have to know Like your workers have to ride those wheels for exactly X number of turns before you pull them out. And I don't want to get off on a Tzolk'in sidetrack.
Okay.
My
Yeah, Caylus is like a 382, Tzolk'in's a 363.
That's insanity. That is crazy talk. And I think that comes from the fact that people don't go back and re-rate Caylus after having played other games.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill. I think Tzolk'in's far more complicated.
That's banana. That is banana pants. People said they don't understand the word banana pants. This is where it comes from, because that's stupid ass people that don't know what the hell they're talking about on BGG.
Okay.
Because it's way simpler than Tzolk'in. Way more accessible. I know a lot of people that played Tzolk'in once and they're like, nope, never doing that again. That's way too hard of thinking. Whereas Caylus, you can play and be like, yeah, that I didn't do well at that, but at least I know why. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. Go ahead.
Everything you just said, Bill, is why Caylus stands up in 2018. Why we still enjoy playing it at least once a month, if not more than that, because it does have a good depth of decisions. It does, require some planning, and there's the gamble we already discussed with the passing and the provost and all that. But it's not a game that you need an ice pack on your forehead after you've played it. Oh. It's got meat to it, but it's not going to burn your brain, and it's still got a good depth of gameplay, a good bit of complexity without being, weighing on you like a wet blanket.
I would argue that Jason in the chat just said the weight is so weird. Some people use depth more than complexity and vice versa. And that actually plays into the thing I was about to say, which is that I think Caylus is one of those games that is fairly rules light, but strategy heavy. The rule book, at least for the version I have, and I have an old copy of the game, so I don't know what the rule book looks like nowadays, is the size of a normal rule book, but that's because it's in 2 languages. Like half of that rule book is French, if I recall correctly. And by the way, most disruptive thing ever, you flip it in order to read it in French. Like you literally rotate the whole book. It's awful.
You get to the French part because it's upside down.
Yeah, everything's upside down. You're like, what the hell am I doing? Yeah. But I mean, it's not a complex game. It's just a matter of, you're going to, the rules are easy. We've already almost explained the entire game to you, legitimately. You get $2 in income, then you place workers. Go, Chris.
I think there's 2 reasons why it has such a high rating on BGG. The first is you've already alluded to. It was people don't go back and re-rate their games.
Right.
And so for the time, for 2005, this was weightier than a lot of the other games that were out there. The second reason is this was a new mechanic. So one of the reasons it was easy for me to learn Caylus is because I played Viticulture and, Agricola and all these other worker placement games. And so for the people who were playing Caylus at the time, this would have been pretty novel. So I think that's part of the complexity story.
That's a really good point. In the pre-show, I was talking to, I think I was specifically directing it at Jason, but it applies to most people, is that I love talking to people that are working their way backwards through the gaming timeline, because I've been playing since, right? So I have been playing along with the curve of game development. And I love watching people go back and play classics for the first time and go, holy crap, this is really good. Unlike Cult of the New people, what? Sorry.
Hey, Chris. What have I been playing here over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah, Brandon and I have recently gone back to 1979 with some Skillaturis winners. So
suck it.
I haven't been told to suck it on my own show in a long time. That's awesome.
Sorry.
Jerks. Whatever.
I still remember playing this for the first time, and it probably was in 2005. And it hurting my brain, though.
See, I remember playing it for the first time, and I remember, so at the time, I was working with Mayfair Games fairly regularly, and they would get whatever the hot game was at their shop, and then everybody would sit and play it for 3 months. So I played more Puerto Rico than I know what to do with for a good long while, because that was the hot game, and Caylus was the hot game, and I played a lot of it in a very short period of time, and I very, very vividly remember everybody at the table going, this is brilliant. How has this not been done before? Right? It just felt like a revelation at the time. I don't recall it feeling very heavy. I just recalled it feeling really different.
Yeah, so I think one of the ways they made worker placement games simpler is by having it where they don't activate in a certain turn order later. So in Agricola, for example, you reach in, you take the action, you grab the wood or you grab the brick or whatever. Here, because it triggers in an order down that road, that actually is what creates the planning in the game.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is that where you are, like the space doesn't activate until afterwards, and so that did feel very different. Although, of course, Agricola didn't exist yet when I was playing this, but I get your point. Absolutely. I feel like I said that wrong, but I know what I meant, and I agree with you, Chris. All right, so have any of you? I want to talk about the different. So somebody brought up Caylus Magna Carta. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because it's a spin-off game, but does it work as a, like, Jason, you said something in the pre-show about how Caylus Magna Carta might be the one you would take on a trip. Is it different enough, or is it a card game version?
No, it's not a card game version, really. You're still placing workers to get resources. It's a bit simplified. I've only played it once. I just got it about a month ago. Okay. I would take it on a trip because it takes up a lot less space. The box is really small. It takes up less table space and just less space in a bag that you're traveling with. Not as heavy. Not again. Not that we're saying that Caylus is so complex, but not as complex as the base game. If I'm at home, I'm likely to play the base game.
Gotcha.
9 times out of 10 over it.
From what I hear, you can take any 5 games and just stuff them into a box anyway, and then you'd have all kinds of games in your box, right? That's a thing.
That is a thing. That's a thing that bad people do.
It's not bad people. Jeez.
But yeah, if I had the choice, I would. If I could only own one, it would just be the base. The original game, Caylus. I'm a completionist when it comes to designers, so sure. I was going to seek it out no matter what. But we do enjoy it. It's just a slightly lighter, smaller table presence version of Caylus. It's actually not a card game. It's just that not a card game in that your cards are just played out as buildings. And gotcha. But you're still the main mechanic of the game is placing on those cards on those buildings and then triggering in the same way down the path.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is that you like Caylus, the regular game, so much that you might be considered a Caylus commando, Jason Dinger?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if we're gonna go with that definition, yeah.
We are. Would you say that using a hashtag of Caylus Commando, like if people were to do that, would that be like and declare their love for this game? Would that be? Work with me here, Jason. Come on, help me out here. I don't know how to segue anymore. This is the best segue I've got. This is all I got, man. Help me. Or do you want me to do it? I'll do it.
You can do it. I'm not.
Okay. The show. We have a copy of Caylus to give away.
Oh, okay.
We're giving away a copy of Caylus, damn it. I was trying to let Jason talk about the hashtag. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Brandon. Yeah, I know it didn't work. Anyway.
I'm paraphrasing you as you go. Keep going.
Appreciate it. All right, here we go. So we're going to give away a copy of Caylus to anybody watching the show live. This is specifically for the live viewers, okay?
Wow.
And we are going to draw this winner in the next... I don't know if we only want it to be live viewers. Watching? How about we? Are you okay if we just draw the winner like now, like in the next 15 minutes? You okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
So that way we guarantee we get live winner. Okay, so Jason, here's the deal.
Oh, wow.
Everybody watching the show right at this very moment, if you want to enter to win a copy of Caylus, you have to do something. You have to talk about the show. You have to use @Cubist Podcast on Twitter or email or whatever. And you have to use the hashtag Caylus Commando, either in your tweet or in the subject line of the email.
Goodness.
Hashtag Caylus Commando. I'm pointing a screwdriver at you so you know I'm serious. All right? We're going to be anal about this and make the people in the chat actually pay attention. I will forgive spelling, but if you don't put a hashtag at the beginning of it, it doesn't count. All right? And we're going to draw the winner of this copy of Caylus, and we'll get it sent out to you probably faster than, because I still haven't sent Mike his copy of Whistle Stop because I'm a damn slacker. So I guarantee if you win this, you'll get it faster than Whistle Stop because I suck at this stuff. So
where's it coming from? I missed the beginning.
The show has a copy of Caylus that
Okay.
we are giving away.
Somewhere in France, William Adia is really
I was
weirded out
gonna
by
say.
Caylus Commando blowing up on
I
Twitter.
is. Yes. I
Oh
want
my
to give.
God.
I want to give the winner of the contest an Adia boy myself.
Patrick, I really want to thank you for joining us on the show tonight.
I
Thank
know,
you for making the
yes.
extra.
I used that joke earlier in the week with Jason. He's heard it before.
Terrible.
So is
All
there a
right.
theme to Caylus, or is this thing just dry as a bones euro?
You're building a castle in Europe for the king.
Does it come through, or am I just playing mechanics or mechanisms? I said the M word.
You're collecting
mechanisms.
meat and wood and stone. You're bringing it to the castle. You're feeding the workers the meat, and they're using the wood and the stone to build up this giant castle. It seems so super thematic.
Or possibly cloth. Let's not forget,
Cloth.
however, that occasionally you build a castle out of cloth.
Well, yeah, they're using the cloth
The curtains.
You're
You got to
using
make the curtains and
You're,
the towers.
you're making this fabulous outfit here out of cloth
All right.
that the guy's wearing.
I like this game, but I think dry is probably a fair descriptor for it at
It's
times.
pretty damn dry, yeah.
I will say that when you build the castle, you put an old time Catan house, okay, in where the castle is.
Yeah.
And it isn't in the shape of a castle, but you can physically see it being built. And when you fill that track, the game ends. So in a way, you're doing, I don't know. Dry. I tried. That's all I got. There's a road and there's a bridge, and the order that you walk over the bridge matters. I don't know. No, it's not. There's not a lot of theme.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The artwork, the theme, the components, and even the extent of planning required, a lot of this screams out dry Euro.
Sure. I don't disagree, but I would say that there are definitely other games that are drier and more themeless than this.
Yeah.
Like this is not the worst offender by a long shot. Like it's not even close. El Grande leaps to mind, as a matter of fact, as far as themeless.
Have you
Give him the
played
dower.
Macau?
I'm holding.
Have you played
back.
Macau?
I have not played Macau, actually.
Let's give him the dour Euro guy look at it.
Everybody can make your best Caylus face at me. That's fine. I don't care.
Now, that would be a contest. I would approve.
Best Caylus face? No,
Best
I don't.
Caylus face?
No, there are so many pictures I don't want to see. You know that this would go wrong.
Yeah, it would.
You know this goes wrong. This is not no. So,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Bill, I have a tough question for the group, if you'll allow me.
Please.
Okay, is this game a classic? And do you think we'll still be playing Caylus in 10 years?
Yes and yes.
Yeah,
Do I
agree. Yes and yes.
I think it's a classic. I think I will be playing it in 10 years because I don't plan on getting rid of my copy ever. But I don't think the world is playing it now.
Yeah, I think so.
So 10 years, no.
Yeah, if I could just drop a quick statistic on you.
Please.
Hey, AB. I recently asked the site I write for to everybody nominated 15 classic games, and we aggregated the votes. And I was really surprised. Like before I came on here, I checked. Nobody voted for Caylus. So we've had 20 plus votes among gamers who have been in this hobby for a very long time, and nobody voted for Caylus. And so it kind of leads me to question: are people still playing this?
It has held up well, actually, in the top 100. It's sitting at 44, where you see other things just kind of plummeting. So somebody has to be playing it. Is it the app? Is it the digital version?
I think the advantage, Brandon, is that nobody's playing it, so the new gamers aren't rating it. So
I don't remember, Brandon. Did I vote for it? I don't think it made
nobody has voted for it. We're doing the same thing alongside the old gamers.
Oh, opinionated gamers. Stop
it. Opinionated gamers. That's right. They're not the old gamers.
The old opinionators gamers.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing alongside those, and we've got 16 people who have given us 15 games. I think we've got about 123 unique titles, and Caylus is not mentioned once.
And I'm the bad guy because I haven't put my list in. Caylus would end up on my list, guaranteed.
So I guess my second question is what happened? Because I don't think people are playing this. I don't go to game groups and see this played much anymore. And I like it, and the app should help the sales somewhat, but why aren't people playing it? Has it been replaced by a different game?
Okay, I'm going to give you my theories on all of these. Ready?
Yeah.
I think that people don't go back and re-rate games, so therefore it has a lot of really high ratings from when it first came out from old-time user group, the user base. And so it hasn't dropped in the ratings because people don't go back and re-rate it. B, I don't think people log their iOS plays, so the app isn't going to get isn't going to get logged plays on there, so it wouldn't look like it's being played anyway. 3, because I was doing A and B before and it's fun for me, I think that it was out of print for a while and got expensive, and then when it got reprinted as a big fancy-ass version of it that was more expensive. It's now readily available for normal Eurogame prices again. But I don't think the perception is out there that it's readily available at normal Eurogame prices. I think people think that the collector's edition is the only one. I think it's got a weird perception because of that.
Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think the last thing that Bill said is a big part of the perception, or is a big part of the perception, is that most people don't realize it's readily available. I will say this: more people are playing it because it's become the go-to gift game that Don and I gift to friends who are getting into gaming. Once they move up from the initial little intro card game we start them with, we scour the geek market and find good copies of Caylus and gift them to friends and teach them how to play. So we're growing the numbers little by little.
Yeah. Number 4D,
4D.
Scott Nicholson.
Caylus in 4D.
Caylus, nice time travel Caylus. Scott Nicholson, podcaster / one of the first YouTubers that was doing videos about board games. The first that I recall rant video about how much somebody hated a board game was him and Caylus. He did the Caylus Commando. This is where the Caylus Commando term came from. Is he did this rant about how the only people that like Caylus are the people that are good at Caylus, and you have no chance of winning if you play with those people. And it was a very funny video, but it also,
I remember that,
I think, permanently changed how people view this game. I think it is viewed as very inaccessible, very hard to do well at the first time you play. This real, it gets talked about how dry it is. It has this kind of musty, for lack of a better term, musty stank on it from the way that media people have talked about it over the last 5 years. I'm serious.
People who play and buy and rate Eurogames now don't want the interaction that you get in Caylus. They want to sit off in their corner and they don't want to be messed with.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why you're seeing games like Caylus fall a little bit from favor, and games like Agricola to a certain extent.
Yeah, people also hate paying for the workers. Yeah, people hate paying for the workers too.
Exactly.
See,
and plus, when Ryan quit doing podcasting, it just fell off the face of the earth.
That's true. Ryan Sturm, because there was International Caylus Day.
Yeah, it's 6/6/2010. I just listened to his podcast over the weekend.
I don't know that I necessarily. No, it's not the cup from Stone Age, Tom. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that last assessment about the people don't want the interaction, Brandon. And I'm not saying that you are. I don't think it's that your theory is wrong. I think that not enough people are playing it to ever get to the point where they form that theory. I think that the game is languishing too much. It has languished too much, and because of all of the other issues that it has in press, right? I think it just doesn't get played.
It's got really good press. I mean, as far as media goes nowadays, I mean, people read
nowadays.
You want to compare two old games, though. I'd compare this to Puerto Rico Poo-Poo Heads and Caylus Commandos.
Please tell me that Puerto Rico Poo-Poo Heads is actually a thing and not just something you made up today.
The term that I think also Ryan Sturm brought coin. And that game has a prescripted opening and has a prescripted turn order, and you get yelled at if you don't do it right.
It's like playing blackjack.
Yes, like on a blackjack table. Whereas I do not think Caylus has that sort of prescripted play. Yes, it has a skill set. It's if you've not played it before, you're going to get creamed.
Yeah.
But the game has variability. You know, the 6 tiles that come out at the beginning come out a different order. Jason chooses what he builds, which stone building he builds, not me. And I choose which is the second one I'm going to build. And every road is different. But my game on Friday was crazy. It was completely different than any game I've ever played before. And it was just like, I've never seen a game like this before, you know? And that still happens because I don't think this game has that.
So it's the learning curve is a lot of it too, and that keeps me from playing games like Puerto Rico, and it keeps me from playing other classics like that because how much fun is that? So we prefer to play our new games that we're on an even keel with.
Sure.
So
I will say that first off, if you want to learn how to play Puerto Rico, quote unquote, correctly, don't worry because anybody you sit to the right of, or to the left of, will be happy to tell you all the things you're doing wrong in your very first play.
I've done that.
Yeah, and that sucks, right? Like that's why they should just include a taser in the box, so that way you end up sitting to the right of that guy. Who's sleep now. You're done. But I agree wholeheartedly that Caylus does not have that scripted feel. I don't necessarily agree that you will automatically get stomped by a more experienced Caylus player. I think that it's more likely, but it's more likely in any game that revolves around skill. I don't think Caylus is a standout here. I think that that's what skill-based games do, right? Like, I mean, Jason, you've been quiet for way too long and have a concerned look on your face.
Well, I'm proof that that's not exactly accurate because I'm way more experienced in the game than my wife, and she crushes me in it regularly.
Right.
But no, everything you say is correct. It is one that having more experience is going to make you better at the game, but that doesn't mean that if you've played it once and I've played it 5 times and I'm going to absolutely kill you. Once you've got a feel for how it plays after a play or two, you can compete.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, the way that I look at it is it's just like every other quote unquote good game out there right now. The first time you play it, when you're being taught by somebody that knows what they're doing, they're going to smack you around and call you Susan, right? And you just have to go into that first game knowing I'm about to get owned. But I'm going to learn and I'm going to see what the person that's good at the game is doing and then figure out how to learn from that person, right? Like I have said this for years. I think that if you go into a learning game expecting or demanding to win, you're doing it wrong. Like, I don't care how competitive you are. Your first game is a learning game. You can't get mad when you lose in your first game. I don't think Caylus requires 20 plays to be good at, right? Like I think 1. Maybe, and then your second game, you'll be like, oh, I remember this. I got screwed real hard this way. Okay, I'm not going to let that happen ever again. You only have to get effed by the provost once before you definitely don't leave yourself with only $2 and be ahead of him, right? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take a lot. I don't think. No, not all by Bill, Chad. I have not played 195 plays with Caylus.
The 4-player play that we have of Caylus, I mentioned with some friends of ours, they got into gaming last year with us. They're not very experienced gamers. They game with us maybe once a month. They game, with each other. They've got younger kids than us, so they're really busy. They might get to game 1 day a week just for an hour or two, whereas Don and I are playing 12 hours a week on average. We played with them and their first game of Caylus, and the first round or two, we were explaining things and going a little easy, but by midway through the game, we're hitting each other with passing and with the provost, and Don and I weren't really playing very nice once we saw they got the hang of it. We weren't being jerks, but we were playing just as we would normally play.
Right.
And in the end, Donna won, of course. Our other friend, she came in a point behind Donna. I came in 3rd, and then my friend, he came in 4th, but we were all within 5 points. So within half the game, the two of them got it well enough to come in 2nd or a close, even though he lost, he was within 5 points of first place,
Right. Yeah. When we played a couple weeks ago and I taught 2 new people and I hadn't played in a long time. Sadly, this is a game that I haven't been able to do a lot of regular gaming with groups bigger than 2 or occasionally 3 in a couple of years. So Caylus hasn't come up with myself. So I'd sort of refresh myself, and I wanted to do the homework before the show anyway. And as I was playing, I realized we went through the entire. So you build the castle in 3 stages, right? There's the dungeon,
right,
the walls and then the tower, or maybe the tower and then the walls. I don't know, whatever. There's the little one, the middle one, and the big one, right? And the little one is worth the most points. We didn't
5 points
at all. No one built a single section of the first of the dungeons of the castle.
Oops.
I don't know why. I know why I didn't, because I was getting hosed 6 ways from Sunday by the other 2 people that kept taking all the spaces that I freaking needed to get my stuff. But I don't know why.
Isn't that a great game though? When people get your goat and do that.
Yep,
it is.
I love that. That's what I love about a good worker placement game.
Right. And that's the whole point, right? And that's why this game is still really good, because it still keeps all of that. Like it still evokes all of those same tensions in all the ways that it's supposed to. And so in the chat, Chad brought up Manhattan Project, right, as being a game where you pay to play your workers, right? It costs money. I believe where it came from, right? It was pay to place, not feed. Yeah. So Manhattan Project does that because the space has a cost attached to it, correct? Mm-hmm. Is that right? Okay. I think that's a really interesting point. You're right. That is not a mechanic that has been used a whole lot in the game. And I wonder why. Is that really a thing that people dislike? Brandon, you said something earlier about how you think people don't like the idea of having to pay to play their workers.
I said that.
You said that. I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Why? Why do you think that's a thing?
It feels restrictive. It requires a little bit more planning. That's the biggest complaint people have about Agricola and Zolkin. It can punish new players who don't plan adequately. So I get it a little bit, but at the same time, I think that adds to the tension, and the tension is, to me, the most important part of games.
Yeah, I
put my guys on a little dollar. I have a row of little dollars and little guys because I can't remember.
Oh God, yeah! And you put a cloth cube on a dollar, right? And you set that off to the side once you've gone to the jousting fields. Yeah,
I'm that stupid.
No, I totally do the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Board Game Trucker in the chat asked if there are any critiques of the game, any games that have replaced it since. Let's roundtable here. Are there any, for those of us that have played it, I guess, anything that you feel like has not aged well? Left to right as I'm looking at you, Chris.
So I think Agricola replaced this. Agricola is a direct descendant of Caylus. I know, but that's why I don't play Caylus that much. Is if I'm going to pull off a worker placement game, I have 2 or 3 that I go to, and this just isn't in the rotation. But the app is fantastic, and I do like the game, so it gets a few plays on the app. When I'm bored at the barber shop or whatever.
You still own the game, Chris?
No, I don't.
Yep. All right, Jason. What do you think? Does the game have flaws?
Every game has flaws. I'm not going to, say that no game is ever finished and every game can be polished. I don't think it has anything that stands out that we still play it. I have lots of worker placement games, and it's like I said, still in the rotation. We play it once a month, at worst once every 6 weeks. And Agricola is my all-time favorite game that I play at least once a month too. I don't know that it replaces it because it's a different feel. One of the big things that makes it a different feel is, again, the planning in how the worker placement spots are triggered is such a different feeling than in Agricola, where the action is triggered when I go there. And that's one of the things I really like about Caylus, what makes it different from a lot of other worker placement games in that regard. So I don't think it's been replaced. Definitely not in my collection. We still play it regularly. If it has flaws, I don't think so. I think the things people complain about are the good things. I think the Provost is a good thing. I think that level of interaction, that level of gambling, I think that's a good thing. So there's not a flaw that I'm going to point to and say, like, yeah, that stands out to me. No, I can't say anything.
Okay. Patrick, how about you?
No, I don't. I mean, it's not super. It's not the most perfect game. It's one I play just every once in a while. I just did a quick search for games that people say have replaced it. Pillars of the Earth came up as a list. I do like that game a lot. It has a similar feel. It has the similar movement around a track. Your things are activated in a certain order. You're building a castle. It has an interesting turn order where you're drawing your peoples out of a bag. So it has a similar feel to it, and I probably like that a little bit better. I don't know if it's replaced it, though. So just a different game.
All right. Well,
I have them both.
First off, you're a crazy person because Caylus is way better than Pillars of the Earth. Secondly, games can be perfect because Eclipse exists in the world. So,
okay.
Jason, you're a crazy person.
Right.
And
how
Chris,
come
why would you
allowed to
ever
have-
get rid of a game this good from your collection?
I limit myself to 365 games.
There are not 365 other games that are better than this.
That's probably true. That's probably true, but I own 100 trick-taking games and all the Spiel des Jahres winners, so that eats up a good chunk of the collection.
Okay, well then you're also a crazy person. So and Brandon, you've never played this game, so therefore I have judged all of you appropriately.
Brandon, how come you've never played this? Wait a minute, I need to call him out on the table right here now.
I think we kind of covered it. Just never has come out.
Well, now that's just not true. Chris Merzick brings it every single week.
You know, and I would never know it because he doesn't bring his games in a box that says what the games are.
Put him on blast.
He's the joke. He's the joke that we made before about how you can put 5 games into one.
And
box.
honestly, yeah, my game group loved Agricola. They loved Race for the Galaxy, and when I joined them, that's all they would play. We never touched Caylus. We never saw it. Now I've kind of just been turned away by the dour Euro guy, but I am about to buy it on Amazon because because I have to play it. I have to buy it or play it, and Chris doesn't have a copy. So, oh wait, John probably does. Never mind.
Brandon was also
earlier.
I was gonna go ahead.
What's that?
What you missed earlier, Patrick, was Brandon also admitted that he was misled. Someone told him that it doesn't play well at 2.
Said that it's not a good 2-player game.
Yeah, it's just a different game. I mean, it's
and
not
everybody. Everybody says it's 3-player game is probably the best at it.
No, it's perfectly fine at 2. It's just kind of a different game.
It's a different feel for sure, but it's a good game still.
Yes, it's still a good game. Right.
Bill, I will add, this is one of those games that, in terms of collection worthiness, is on the bubble for me. And if it had a fresh coat of paint, I would probably pick up a copy, but I really do not like the art.
Okay, so it's ugly. Yeah, thank you for that. Was a fantastic segue because I was about to say the things that I think its flaws it is
right up there with Castles of Burgundy.
Ugly. It's real ugly, right? Like, I mean, the angry dude on the cover sucks. The color choices in the game are kind of garbo. It's too dark of a color palette on the board, so that way if your lighting is not immaculate, you're going to actually sit there and squint a little bit. I happen to know this because my lighting situation is not immaculate currently in my game room, and so we had the same problem. It has little round cylinders for workers, which means that they're gone. Like if you accidentally dump a thing, it's going to roll halfway across your room. Thankfully, people have gotten smarter about that. I don't know why there aren't just damn meeples in the game, but whatever. So there are some curious production issues with it, most notably the artwork. It is real ugly. However, there was a new version. There is a much prettier version that does exist out there. Yep, that one right there. Everybody look at Jason for a hot second. There's the prettier version.
$39 on Amazon right now.
Yeah, don't buy it before I get my copy because there's only 3 left.
I still think it's hideous, but that's the version I had.
All right. Well,
it's not Grumpus, so
yeah, it's not. Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. He's so classic at this point. I preferred Grumpus.
I'd like the Grumpus version too.
I mean, okay, so that's the version I have too, but it's not an appealing box, right? Like if you pick this game up off the game shelf, you're going to pick it up. You're going to go.
No, right. It's €19.95 box.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's. I mean, it's not $19.95 because that would be weird.
Oh,
like what year? That would be Time Machine Caylus. That's 2005.
Okay, 2005. Wow.
Yeah, it's not as old as you think it is.
It feels older.
It does. Yeah. It feels
it's not as old as the cover would lead you to believe.
And you all told me that earlier. So
it feels older because it gets lumped into the classics, right? Like it is a game that is, I think, by and large, considered one of the true modern classics, right? Like, as much as I like to yap about how much I dislike it, El Grande and Catan and Ra and this Puerto Rico, Wray to a lesser extent. These are all games that are sort of have been given this. Modern Art is a great example. These are all games that Tigers and Euphrates have all been lumped into this modern classic, and so they all, at least in my mind, occupy like the same space. It feels like they all are kind of the same time. Power Grid would be another great example here. They all feel like they came out around the same time, which is just demonstrably not true, right? But it feels like it because they're all that same. What is it? Yuck, you prefer the grumpy version? Does the chat room, hey, chat room, weigh in on this. Which game, do you really like Grumpus?
I do.
More than you like? Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really
frowny Euro dude.
He is so iconic. It's not that I like him. It's just that he's I feel like game history in my hands when I see that guy.
I'm going to buy the old box and I'm just going to put googly eyes on him.
Yes. Look, here's the deal. Anything. All right. So we got to start wrapping up because Kimberly's not here to yell at us. And we've done. Hey, we've stayed better on topic for this one than I think we ever have. So I'm going to give all the credit for that to Chris and Jason because
good job, guys.
I'm an idiot. I go up on tangents on the reg, but round the table, and I'm going to go last because I want to get in the last word because I said so. For Caylus on the Cubist scale, because we always give the ratings to games that we talk about here. Chris, you heathen who thinks there are 365 better games than this. What do you think on the Cubist scale? Is Caylus a buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it?
Between play it and buy it.
No, that's not how this works.
Okay, play it.
You either have to give it. If you want to put something in between, you have to name it. You can't be like it's a play it plus. That's not.
Okay, here it is. Buy it and trade it away after 5 plays.
Okay, so I would say I do think that I'm going to eventually edit the rating to have trade for it in the middle. Like it's worth owning. It's probably not worth spending paycheck on. So trade it. All right, I get that. Got it. Jason, how about you?
It's $37. Buy it. I mean, it's a modern classic, and it's not like you're paying what's Glory to Rome, $200 and something dollars now, I think, for the black box. No, it's definitely a buy it.
Hey, by the way, Jason, while we have you, can you hold up the box again?
Yes.
I asked the chat room which one they like better, and they need to see. So you have to talk so that way you have the camera.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Here you go. Yeah, this is the copy I own, which was funny. I'm familiar with the other one because I believe the Grumpus is what's on the app. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I want to say that's where I'm most familiar with Grumpus from. This is the copy that
I gotta tell Tony.
There you go. Tony's gonna love this. All right, so it's a play it, or it's a trade for it from Chris. It's a buy it from Jason. Patrick,
play it.
You think it's a play it?
Yeah.
I'm on Team Dinger here. I think it's a buy it for sure. I think that it's affordable. It does something that very few other games that are going to exist in your collection do. It plays well at all counts. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It's not a particularly long game. It is rules light but strategy heavy. It's kind of ugly, but if you can get past the kind of ugly, it's a game that you're not going to get bored of anytime soon. Like it is not. It is a better design, I think, than Puerto Rico. And I know those are fighting words, and a lot of people come at me, bro. I don't care. I think it's a better design for the blackjack conundrum that Patrick mentioned. I think the Puerto Rico is too scripted early. And I think this is a better, more open game where you're playing the other players within the confines of the game. You're not playing the game itself because you have to play this way. I think it's just straight up a better game. So now the question is, there are 2 play it's and 2 buy it. So now we need to know, Brandon, what did you do?
I just bought it.
There you go.
Yay!
Yes.
I'll trade it or sell it to John.
Whatever. All right. Very good. Yes. See, so I hope that people watching the game or watching the show, I hope we convinced at least 1 or 2 of you to, at the very least, give it a shot. Right? Like, I think it's going to be, I think it's worth at least trying. So, all right. So now I have to come up with a randomizer real fast because we said we're doing this during the show and I don't want to wait. So hang on. I have a D10 right here. I believe I have 10 entries into our Caylus Commando Let me double check. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, this is riveting TV. 4, 5. Brandon, are you allowed to win? Can we let a host win?
No,
Jason,
I don't want to win it. I just bought it.
Okay.
I was just trying to start the thing rolling. I think you got 11 people there.
4,
I got them in
5,
order here.
6,
You
7,
roll a die.
8, 9. I see 10 because Chad entered twice.
I got Chad. I got Paul. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Chad also posted his Caylus space picture.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Actually winning.
Yeah. Bonus point
Oh,
for that.
all right. So, how do I enter? Joshua, you were late. All right. So you have to.
Got 11. Joshua's number 11.
All right. Well, Joshua, you're in just because we like you. All right. So hang on. I got to find a D12. Thanks. I was all ready until you did that, Joshua. Damn it. All right. Hold on. So, and if it's a 12.
Trust him. He's a doctor. He'll help you out here.
Yeah, I know. All right, so here we go. Here is this. Hang on. This is riveting TV. Everybody, you ready? All right, so here we go. Brandon, you figure out which name this is. Okay, based on this die roll. Everybody
I'm
ready?
going from bottom to top.
All right, here we go.
He rolls a 12.
12.
Damn it. All right, stupid die. What is that? It's also a 12. For the love of God and all that is holy. All right, fine. One more time. Hey, that's a 10.
That's a 10. You get it to... Wow, that's Paul.
Paul! Yay, Paul! Nice.
Congrats, Paul.
We like Paul. Paul, congratulations. You just won yourself a copy of Caylus. So here's the deal. You need to... What the hell? Oh... Nice. Grumpus is on Twitter, everybody. If you search for hashtag Caylus Commando, Patrick just posted his picture of Grumpy Tony with the Grumpus box. That is beautiful. Yay! All right, so here we go. We have to figure out if you want to I'll just be the middleman. Paul, you email thecubistpodcast@gmail.com with your with a place that we can ship it. I will forward that information to Jason, and we will get it sent out to you. The show will send it out to you. I don't know what I just said there. What did I just say? Whatever. The show will take care of it. So congratulations, Paul. You're awesome. You know what? Remember how I said terrible people? Oh, never mind. Anyway, fine. All right. Chris and Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show. Chris, do you have anything you need to plug? Any cheap plugs you need to do?
No, next month. Actually, I'll do one cheap plug. Next month, I'm having a list posted online of 50 classic games as voted by people who have been in the hobby for quite a while. So you'll see that list. We have 100 plus nominees, and 50 of them are going to make the list. And Brandon's got something similar.
Go ahead, Brandon.
We're doing.
That's called a segue, Brandon. Pay attention.
We're doing the same thing for Punchboard Media. I'm hoping to get a few more people to participate. They've had 20. We've only got 16, and I mean, for crying out loud, we've got like 35 entities in our groups here. Come on, we got to get some more numbers and some more things for me to crunch. Also, May coming up is Spiel des Jahres time, so Chris and I are working on a little something for that for the What Did You Play This Week podcast. So
nice,
which is a proud member of Punchboard Media.
Where we all bring something to the table.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had it.
Stepped all over his toes.
I was trying to do it with you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Brandon bailed halfway through. What the hell?
I was stepping on toes. I felt like.
Bless America. Jason Dinger, I am always happy when I get a chance to talk with you. I don't know if you have any plug stuff, but I will say that at the very least you should follow him on Twitter at Jason Dinger. There's no E in Dinger on Twitter, right? Is that the right way to say it? Very good. Why? Is there another Jason Dinger running around? Is that what happened?
I want to say when I set it up, there was, and that was taken, and I had to go with that. That was years ago, so I really don't remember, but I believe that was the case.
All right. So it's Jason Dinger minus the E. You should definitely follow him on Twitter at the very least. He has lots of fun stuff to say, and plus he posts pictures of all his awesome woodworking stuff. We were watching you for a little while build a table.
Yeah. I'm still working on that. I had to repair my planer because I couldn't find anyone in my little small town to repair it. And I didn't know what I was doing, but thankfully I was able to take a week and just study the mechanics of it and get it fixed. So I'm back. Tomorrow I'm going to be back working on the top, and hopefully I'll have the table finished another week or two.
And then you're going to send a review copy to the Cubist, right? So that way we know. No? All right.
I'm not kidding. My wife and I actually did talk. I'm having so much fun building. We talked about doing a a board game table to just give away. Like you pay for the materials, and I'll just do it. But you would have to come get it because I don't build things that get bolted together. I build with classic joinery where it's together and you're not getting it apart. It's going to be something that your great grandkids are going to use one day. So yeah, my wife and I actually did talk about something where you'd have to live close enough that you'd want to drive down with like a U-Haul or something to get it. I don't know that we're going to do that. But.
Or you have a big pickup truck and you have an established track record of driving to Dallas. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, you should at the very. Jason, do you have anything else that you want to plug, or just?
Nothing else. Captains is still on schedule for Essen this year. Uli is going to be coming into the U.S. in May. He and I are meeting up at HeavyCon in Denver, and we've got. I don't know that I'm going to get to play too many other games because we've got a bunch of people lined up that want to play it, so we're going to play it there. Ground Floor Second Edition is coming out from Spielworks earlier this year. So Harold, the artist, is working on that right now. But in the next month, fingers crossed, he'll be wrapped up with that and be able to start on the artwork for Captains of the Gulf. That's when it will finally feel real for me when I see the final production art and the BGG page is made. Because I never made a BGG page. I didn't know if as dumb as it sounds, I don't know if I was allowed to do that. And then once it got signed, I was like, I'm just going to let the publisher do it. Was the advice that was given to me from someone else. So, so it still feels like a dream, like someone's going to pull the rug out from underneath me just because it's such an amazing, my favorite publisher picked it up. So, so when I see the art and the BGG page is made, I'll be able to take a breath and go, okay, this is, I can relax. I'm not being pranked. This is real, Well,
and, Jason, if a dream is going to come true for somebody in the gaming industry, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm just always excited to see good things happen to good people. And you definitely count as good people. So congratulations on all that stuff, man. And for the record, review copies are always welcome at Cubist headquarters. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, Patrick, you have any pluggables?
Well, hey, Jason's mechanic asked him next time to buy a simpler piece of machinery that he could fix something plainer. Anyway, I can be found
I'm amazed I haven't muted you yet.
Telling puns over on Twitter at Over the Hillier and on What Did You Play This Week, doing semi-serious interviews with folks like All the Bits podcast, which dropped on Monday, and I don't know who I'm talking to next. Somebody, and contributing to crazy lists like my top favorite games.
I will build a damn list. You got him to say that just so that way I would feel even more guilt for having not submitted a list yet.
You should.
Sure.
Whatever. Fine. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, thecubistpodcast.com is where you can find all the stuff here. You can follow me on Twitter at Bill Corey Jr. Like my lower third says, unlike all the rest of these damn slackers.
I tried to put one in. It's not working. It's not working. It says, call me Susan.
Yeah, mine.
There you go. Anyway, at Bill Corey Jr. or at Cubist Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching live tonight. I hope you all had a good time. Don't forget, if you want to support the show, you can click the shop link at the top of thecubistpodcast.com, or you can click the link in the description for this here video to go over to Pod Pledge. We talked with Chaz Marler from Pod Pledge last week about a new way to fund content, and so we're doing it. So if you feel like throwing a few bucks our way, we always appreciate that kind of stuff. Real quick surprise announcement for all of you that actually hang on till the bitter end, because I know a bunch of you bail early, and I hate it when you do that. So this is a teaser just for all of y'all that actually stuck onto the bitter end, and I intentionally held on to this. Watch. You're going to want to go to the YouTube page and click the bell next to the subscribe button if you are a subscriber, because you are going to get a live stream of a game called Good Dog Bad Zombie later on this week, where we're going to do. It is on Kickstarter right now. It's going for another week and a half or whatever. I'm going to do a live stream playthrough of a game, and we may or may not be doing a giveaway during that live stream of something awesome. So you're going to want to click the bell on the YouTube page if you're watching it there. But otherwise, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you all had a fantastic week, and we will see you all again next time. Be good. Game on. See ya.
Adios.
Bye.